With the huge battle that's going on right now for the Speaker of the House, you would think Marjorie Taylor Greene would have your back. But it turns out Marjorie Taylor Greene's got her own back. How's everybody doing today? My name is Ty with Ride IQ. Thank you for joining me today. And I am a little bit concerned with what's going on in the House. You see, we worked very, very hard to win the House. Even if it's by a slim margin, it's the same margin that the Democrats have been able to rule over for the last 2 to 4 years. And we finally get it. It was supposed to be so much bigger, but it wasn't. Okay? And that has caused some issues within our party. And the problems seem to be revolving around one person. Not Kevin McCarthy, because everybody on our side agrees that Kevin McCarthy should not be Speaker of the House. We all agree with that. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of a sudden, she's got this bright idea that Kevin McCarthy is going to be our savior. He is the one that's going to get everything done and take MAGA to the next level and clean up the swamp. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Kevin McCarthy hasn't cleaned anything up. He is part of the problem. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has been his henchman. And she is coming out swinging against people who she supposedly agrees with. And I am amazed by this. So I was watching the Steve Bannon's War Room, and he's got a couple of great interviews. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is in one of those interviews. And she has just lost her damn mind. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave because it kind of irritates me when people don't play the entire video through. And I apologize, but it's kind of a long interview, and there's a lot to go into with this. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to that video in the description, and you guys can go ahead and watch that at your leisure. With that being said, I want to go ahead and get into this because I have a lot to say about what's going on in this interview.
I've been leader for 4 years. I came into this position and we had less than 200 members. We are now sitting in the majority. We put forth to the American public a commitment to America. There's times we're going to have to argue with our own members if they're looking at for only positions for themselves, not for the country. For the last 2 months, we worked together as a whole conference to develop rules that empower all members. But we're not empowering certain members over others. Last night I was presented the only way to have 218 votes if I provided certain members with certain positions, certain gavels, to take over the church committee, to have certain budgets. And they even came to the position where one, Matt Gaetz, said, I don't care if we go to plurality and we elect Hakeem Jeffries and it hurts the new frontline members not to get reelected. Well, that's not about America, and I will always fight to put the American people first, not a few individuals that want something for themselves. So we may have a battle on the floor, but the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
What do you think the battle is for the
It's so funny that now that he's got an opportunity to be speaker, now all of a sudden he wants to play kumbaya, when before he was trying to get Trump out of office and he was plotting behind Trump's back, and all of a sudden he's had this moment where he realizes that, he can lead this party into the future. But all that I just heard right there was just politics. It's just politics. He's digging his toes into his position and trying to bury us just like they did with the Tea Party. Let's go ahead and move a little bit farther into this.
Let me take it. By the way, is that a misdirection play, Congressman Greene, about these names and about people asking for it? Because isn't this at the end of the day, and the reason that, so many of your most ardent followers, particularly in the war room, are shocked every time you come up and pitch for Kevin McCarthy? Isn't this the 12-year fight of the populace versus the cartel? And Kevin McCarthy just represents the worst elements of the cartel, ma'am?
Steve Bannon, you nailed it. It's just the swamp being the swamp. What does Marjorie Taylor Greene have to say about that?
Yeah, you know what, Steve? Here, let me tell everyone. You know what people might not like right now is that I'm telling them the truth. What do you want? Do you want me to sit on your show and lie to everyone? Because if that's what you want from Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are never going to get it. I refuse to lie to anyone. And simply right now, because the base doesn't like what I'm telling them, it doesn't mean that it's not the truth. I'm telling you 100% the truth.
She seems kind of mad, doesn't she? Why are you so mad, Marjorie? Why are you so mad at your base? Because your base is turning on you? Because they don't want Kevin McCarthy as speaker, and you're telling them that they have no choice at all? That they have to follow you into the lion's den? Is that what you're saying, Marjorie? Because you look angry. We're angry, but we're angry because you're not listening. You're not listening to any of your constituents. Your base that put you in that seat. Your base, the one that elevated you to where you're at right now. So why are you turning on your base? Let's hear more of what she has to say.
You know why I'm upset? Because Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, and Scott Perry, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, walked in Kevin McCarthy's office last night and made their own personal demands for which subcommittee chairmanships they want to have and who they want on committees and who they want taken off committees. And guess what? The chairman of the Freedom Caucus negotiated nothing for me.
Marjorie, why would they negotiate anything for you? It sounds like you've been negotiating for yourself for quite a while. But as far as them going in there with their list of demands, that's negotiating. Sorry, not sorry. That's negotiating. And that's what we should be doing. That's what all of our people should be doing, because we want to make sure that we have the right people in the right spots to make sure that things get taken care of. And this next 2 years to 4 years goes exactly the way we want it to go. This is exactly what we put you in there for. That's exactly why you got voted in there, to do exactly the same thing that they're doing. You are spending too much time trying to impress Kevin McCarthy, the rhino that hasn't done anything for us in the last 2 years, 4 years. But all of a sudden, he's your man, and everybody else better get in line, and you're going to be his little protectionist, right? You're playing on the wrong team, Marjorie. Why don't you go to Twitter and look what all of your constituents are saying about you? You're on the wrong team.
I read text messages from these people.
But hang on. But this wasn't personal. This wasn't. Hang on. Hang on.
Let me explain one more thing.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I really need to say this. People need
Go
to
ahead.
understand that this is one vote. Do you know where all the fights really are? We have to get to 218 on every single bill we pass. We have to get to 218 to actually make anything happen on the House floor. And out of 222 members, that is practically impossible. That's where my power is. That's where every single conservative has power, is with our voting card. And if anyone thinks that this is the hill to die on, they are absolutely wrong.
But you found your hill to die on, haven't you, Marjorie? You're going to die on that hill with Kevin McCarthy and all those rhinos. Those are the people that you're buddying up with. You got Kevin McCarthy right now on the second day. You got him over there trying to negotiate with Democrats to try to make sure that he gets in there as Speaker of the House. And he might just be able to do that. But he's only able to do that because of the actions that you've taken up to this point. You're a traitor to your party. You're a traitor to the people who got you into that office in the first place. You see, if he is willing to go over there and negotiate with Democrats now, what is he willing to do with Democrats 3 months from now, a year from now, when the big issues start coming up and needed to be resolved? When we need subpoenas, when we need all of these things that are going to help us expose the deep state for who they are. That's the hill that you want to die on. And you're willing to take down the entire party, your entire party, to make that happen. So you see, we would have had a hard time with 218 votes anyways, because there's a bunch of rhinos in there. But this is the hill that you chose to die on.
I've said I've put in every single one of us, Steve, every member of Congress, we get to fill out a form and write on the form which committees we would like. I just made my request like everyone else. I didn't go in someone's office and get behind closed doors and demand this is what I want in order for me to vote for you. I didn't do that.
Again, Marjorie, that's called negotiating. That's how a negotiation is ran. You put your list of demands on the table and you see what you can get to stick. So that you didn't have to negotiate because you already had a sweetheart deal because you signed the deal with the devil. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Marjorie. When the Democrats were trying to crucify you and keep you from getting reelected, Kevin McCarthy came in and saved the day. And so now, with your little quid pro quo, you owe him. And so you have to stand by his side. And you're going to castrate everybody who doesn't fall in line behind you as if they're the ones that are doing something wrong, as if they're the ones that are turning their back on the American people. No, Marjorie, it's you. It's you.
Every member of Congress requests committee assignments. It says where they are going to be the most beneficial to serve their districts and to serve our country. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene has requested to be on Rules and Oversight Committee and was granted that by Kevin McCarthy. So this isn't anything that's abnormal. This is something that all 435 members of Congress go to their leaders and request.
That was Lauren Boebert. She was doing an interview with Steve Bannon on the War Room. I'll go ahead and leave the link to that interview in the description for you also. But she's 100% correct. Everybody drops their name in the hat of the committees that they want to be on. And sometimes they get them, sometimes they don't. But if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. But she's not doing anything different than anybody else that's trying to get on a committee. And let's face it, we want our people on these committees. They have to be on these committees because that is how you control the narrative. That is how you can control what has been going on. Look at the January 6th committee, right? Everybody that was on there, they were able to drive the narrative in a certain direction that they wanted it to be on. And we're not doing things the way the January 6th committee wants to do things. What we want to do is expose. We want to expose these crooked individuals in the deep state and in the swamp, and we want results. And the only way we can get these results is if we have the right people on the right committees. So she's not asking too much to be asking to be put on these committees.
I looked at an agenda, and I've talked with many of our colleagues in our Republican conference and said, this is what we need to do. This is what America needs. We have to secure our border. We have to hold the Biden administration accountable. Look at what has happened on Twitter files. That is unbelievable. The FBI, the CIA, and God knows who else has been censoring Americans on social media. And it goes way past Twitter. It goes to Facebook, Instagram, and all other kinds of places, Google especially. But think about this. They're walking in there and making deals for themselves. These are people that I have aligned myself with, but they have personally attacked me simply because I've said, let's do our jobs and not play a personality contest.
Aren't you the one attacking them, accusing them of making this a personality contest? And isn't a personality contest what you're doing right now? And my next question would be, what makes you think that Kevin McCarthy is going to be able to get you over the finish line when it comes to dealing with Google, Instagram, all these other social media companies and get them reined in? That he has done nothing up to this point. What makes you think that he's going to do anything now? And yeah, I understand that we didn't have the majority, but he didn't stand up there and he didn't scream at the top of his lungs. He didn't put up a fight. He was just like, oh, well, we're just not in power. There's nothing we can do about it. But when we get in power, this is what we're going to do. Promises, promises, promises. And you're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. But you're going to attack the people that have been supporting you within the caucuses. You're going to attack them and accuse them of attacking you. It sounds like you're attacking them because they're not doing exactly what you want them to do. They don't work for you, Marjorie. You work for the people, and you're not listening to them either.
I'm sick and tired of the personality contest. That's the Never Trump movement. The Never Trump movement is simply against MAGA, against President Trump because they don't like him. Enough of this. I don't care who anybody likes and who they don't like. We have a damn job to do. That is why we are here. We have a job to do. And so let me tell conservatives across the country something. You better be careful when someone is saying, trust us, we have a plan, and they won't tell you what the plan is. At least Kevin McCarthy has put out a plan extensively all over the media, all over his website, and every single press conference he gives and every single interview he does. At least we know the public plan, and it's something that 222 Republican members can get aligned behind and work our butts off to make it happen.
Marjorie, that's a straw man argument. And it's not a popularity contest, except for it is. See, you're there because a whole bunch of people voted for you, made you popular. Now, you're in there and you're turning your back on the people who put you in there. For you to sit there and say that you don't care what your constituents think and you're going to lecture conservatives across the country that you know better than everybody else, there's your problem right there. Maybe you should start listening instead of talking. You're talking too much. Maybe you should just stop and listen, because nobody likes Kevin McCarthy, and maybe there's a reason for it. Do you think that just because you're sitting in the seat that you're sitting in, that you know so much more than everybody else? Come on, give me a break.
Why did he reject it? It seemed like what you put forward was pretty straightforward and kind of what the people voted for in November. I don't think you've asked for any outrageous request. What was it that he just said he couldn't give you guys?
Well, the problem is we have been in these negotiations since the summer. We went to Kevin, and we were dismissed in the summer because he thought we were going to have this massive red wave, and he would not need our votes. So the meeting wasn't taken seriously. He didn't want to follow up with requests that we had to important rules changes. And then as soon as we saw how slim this majority is, that is when he started listening. And he has implemented many of the rule changes that we have put in place. And now he proudly brags about them and says that he supports them and kind of acts like it's his idea, which is fine. Take it, run with it. But I'm not sure why he flat out turned this negotiation down. I had a fear that maybe he had a deal with the Democrats that was cut, but after this third ballot, I don't see that happening. But it was very reasonable what we asked for. It was not a selfish ask. There were no personal requests that are out of the ordinary. He asked us what committees Freedom Caucus members want to be placed on, and we provided that list to him. He said his problem was Freedom Caucus wants to be on the Oversight Committee and on Judiciary, and he has a hard time spreading them out. So we did that and said, here are some places that we could be and be effective, so we have a strong conservative presence on these committees to make sure that we are tackling the spending in Washington, D.C., that we are securing the border, that we are having the investigations, so much more. And he flat out rejected that proposal.
That was Lauren Boebert again. And you know what? She sounds very reasonable. See, here's the thing, is that Kevin McCarthy is going to say exactly what he needs to say in order to get elected. And as soon as he gets in there, into that position of Speaker of the House, he's going to say, oh, well, we couldn't do it. We don't have the Senate. If we had the Senate, though, we could make some things happen. And so we can give him the Senate. And then as soon as we give him the Senate, he's going to say, oh, you know what? We don't have the presidency. So, you know, as long as we need to get the presidency, and then I can do things. It's the same song and dance that we've heard through Paul Ryan and John Boehner. It's the same thing, the same rerun we've seen over and over and over again. And I don't blame them for not trusting him. They want to make sure that there are certain things in place that protect our wants, needs, and desires in order to move forward. Okay? I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that's reasonable considering what we've dealt with over the past, 10, 15 years?
That's what we owe the American people, because I know regular people at home, they're not working hard at work to pay their taxes for us to come up here and be mad and say, oh, I'm not voting for that person. I just don't like him. He gave me everything I asked for, but it's just not enough. That is ridiculous. We have a job to do, and it's time to get to work.
She sounds so angry. Why are you so angry, Marjorie? Why are you so angry? Maybe you should put yourself in a cry closet. Spend a little bit of time in there. Cool down a little bit. In the meantime, let's hear from an adult. Let's hear what an adult has to say about the situation.
Well, first of all, this is a very historic day. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fundamentally change the way Washington, D.C. is operated. If you were to ask the American voter, if they are happy with the way Congress runs, they would probably tell you, hell no, we're not.
Lauren's 100% correct. And that's exactly why we support them, is because we need changes. We don't need changes later on. We don't need half measures. We need changes now. And it starts with electing the right Speaker of the House, because they control so much. And we can't take half steps. No half measures are going to make this work. That's what got us into this mess in the first place. Compromise. I'm done compromising. And I want people in the House, in the Senate, in the presidency that are done compromising. I'm done compromising.
Real quickly, because I know you got to. When you say take the win, and you're telling Gates and you're telling Boebert and Perry and the Freedom Caucus and Chip Roy and these guys, take the win. Be specific. What do you mean by that? What is the win that you're defining that is the real win here, and not some performative smoke and mirrors, ma'am?
The win is, to quote Matt Gaetz, the exquisite rules package. That's what he called it. That is what we have debated on for months now. The rules package that's been put together, that we have talked about extensively, of returning Congress to the way it functions and making it work for the country. Matt Gaetz calls it an exquisite rules package. That is what he called it on our conference call on Sunday. Take it. Take the win. And I'm going to tell you something, Steve. I'm not tired of winning. I want to keep winning. I feel like President Trump. I want to keep going as long as possible.
Look, Marjorie, you're not going to piss on my boots and tell me it's raining. You don't get to decide what's winning. We get to decide whether we've won or not. And you are supposed to be the tool that helps us get to that winning position. And you've turned your back on the people who counted on you, who depended on you, that supported you. But I think there's more to the situation than what you're talking about. It doesn't make sense what you're saying. And so maybe Lauren Boebert can maybe answer my question for me and tell me, what exactly are we missing? What are we missing right now?
Okay, here's one of the questions I have, is that you haven't really been publicly in the forefront. I mean, you put out a week ago, you had a red line, and the red line was about the motion to vacate.
Correct.
Talk about your journey, because now it looks like you're one of the lead negotiators, or one of the leaders of this kind of movement that are representing the MAGA policies and kind of the MAGA point of view, the MAGA angle of attack. How did that happen? Because you haven't really taken that public stance on all of this until it looked like this weekend.
Correct. So I have not been public on where I was, because I was trying to get people to a place of unity. And I've been working behind the scenes for months to do exactly that, negotiating the rules changes, negotiating the policy that we're going to put forward to save our country. And I had finally got to a point where we had 218 votes for Kevin McCarthy. It was a clean deal, and he refused to take it. But this motion to vacate, that was the one thing that I was public on. This is my hard line. Single member motion to vacate. This is our check and balance on the third in line to the presidency of the United States. You cannot demand more responsibility and take away accountability. This is our accountability mechanism, to have a check on the Speaker of the House.
Thank you for clearing that up for us, Lauren. That makes a whole lot more sense now. Why didn't I think about that? He's protecting his power. Kevin is protecting his power, just like every other politician in there. Every other politician that's been there, they are too power hungry to have a mechanism that removes their power. See, Nancy Pelosi got rid of the motion to vacate. She was the first, I believe that she was the first House Speaker to remove that protection. And what the protection does is it ensures that the Speaker of the House follows through with the promises that they made. Otherwise, they can be removed and another House Speaker can be voted in. And Kevin McCarthy wants to continue that to protect his power. Now, if we don't believe that he's going to do what he says he's going to do, and he wants to keep that motion to vacate off, then doesn't that tell you that he's probably not going to do what he says he's going to do? Why would he? He's got no reason to. There's no glue. Do you understand what I'm saying? And now I've kind of beat up on Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've liked her up to this point. She can redeem herself. I'm sure of it. I think that she's a nice girl, and my opinion of her is not personal. But she is there. She's put in that position for a reason. And if she's not going to do what her constituents want her to do, then she needs to be removed and replaced. Okay? And as far as Donald Trump, look, Donald Trump has made some bad choices. And he's sticking by McCarthy. He's sticking by McCarthy. I don't know why. See, he made the same mistake in 2016. He surrounded himself with rhinos. And he's doing the same thing now. He bitches about Mitch McConnell, but Mitch McConnell wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Donald Trump endorsing him. So Donald Trump, please explain. I want to support you. You have been my guy. But I cannot continue to support people who are supporting the people that are our enemies, that don't support us, that think that we are crazy and loony. I want to support you. But give me a reason to. If there's a plan, if there's a plan, maybe you should let us in on the plan. Because none of this makes any sense, that all of a sudden we're going to put all of our faith in a rhino, an underling of Paul Ryan. This doesn't make any sense at all. So somebody please clear this up for me, maybe in the comments. Anyway, I hope you folks liked the video. I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit. I don't think I'm alone in my feelings. But if you like the video, like it and subscribe. And please, leave your comments. Tell me how you feel about this situation. Are you mad about this? Are you okay with it? Who would you want as Speaker of the House? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear it. But until the next video, I will see you. Thank you for watching this video. Ride IQ is a new channel, so please like, subscribe, and share this video with all of your friends, because we have to support each other if we're going to win this battle. And if you agree or disagree, please leave your comments below so that we can have that discussion together. And I'll see you on the next video.